Good morning, everybody. We're doing Matthew 15, Mark 7. And the thing that jumped out at me, and it could be because of the age that we're living in, it could be because of the whole COVID-19, and here we're in our second wave, and we've been shut down in the Montreal area. To an extent, we still have a lot of freedom. There's only certain things that are really shut down, and we're not supposed to really associate with people outside of our homes, but that's so much different than the first lockdown. So in this age of COVID, we are all very familiar with the need to wash our hands. And we've been told there's a certain way that we have to wash our hands. And there's been instruction. We watched on TV. We're just told to say happy birthday a couple of times, and don't forget the thumbs and all that sort of stuff. And so we're well aware of the need to wash hands. Dad knew about this way back when he was forming Israel. Of course he'd know about it. He created everything. He knows everything that's in creation and the details of it. And he knew what would get the Israelites sick. So he gave very specific instructions on cleanliness. He told them to be clean. And he taught them about washing of the pots and in the hands and the clothes, and what to do about mildew and all the sort of, you know, because you've read through it, and it's monotonous and it's tons of instructions. So it wasn't until, I could be wrong on this because I'm not really a science geek, but I think it was Aristotle who first proposed, you can correct me, who first proposed the idea of things that we can't see, causing us to be sick. And but it wasn't until the 1800s that it was actually a doctor who was observing that the patients on his ward were dying compared to other wards. But he noticed that the doctors who came in directly from the morgue, and he really believed that they were bringing something from the morgue into his ward, and so he put in place a strict washing of the hands before they could come into the ward, and lo and behold, the mortality rate went down, and in fact, there are people now. The statistics went the other way. There was more deaths on the other wards, but the doctors grew tired of all the hand washing, and so they changed the policy, and suddenly the deaths started going back up again. So this practice was passed among other hospitals. Now, at that time, the scientists were able to observe and understand by observation that this mattered, but they didn't understand why at this time. So, of course, you know, there was investigations and such until they actually discovered the whole bacterias and viruses that live on us and can be passed along. But that's not what Jesus was talking about. That's a long way around, wasn't it? That's not what he was talking about when they challenged him, when the Pharisees challenged him on the fact that his disciples were just ordinary men. They weren't these learned men. They weren't priests or Levites or anything. So this wouldn't be part of their routine. But it was a ceremonial. It was a ritual washing. It wasn't a cleansing washing. It wasn't a washing for the purpose of getting rid of germs, because they didn't even understand that back then. But this was just a ritual thing that did not come from Yahweh, but came from just the tradition of the elders. And here these ordinary fishermen, you know, they weren't doing this. They weren't doing the whole ritual washing. So Jesus used this opportunity to teach and to explain that the thing that the God, the Father looks at is what comes out of the mouth. It's the things that we speak. It's the things that we speak that show that we're unclean. Because those things come from a heart, an infected heart. It's a heart that's infected with rebellion. It's not a heart that is submitted to Father. Now, of course, Jesus has given all these teachings, but we understood the application better after the cross and the resurrection. That's when we received revelation on what. So this is like the manual that is being given us, or at least the explanation of what's being given for what we're going to experience down the road. And so with the giving of the Holy Spirit, there was the cleansing of the heart, the transformation of the heart. So now what we should see is we should see clean things and good things. And the Word talks about how pure water and bitter water can't come from the same source. And so this is to do with the heart. And what we speak is revealing whether we're clean or whether we're unclean. And we know these things. This is the thing that should get under our skin. We know these things, but we don't necessarily act on them. Come on, we know that what we speak is important. And so if we find, it's not a matter of trying to change those words, but it's a matter of those words should reveal that if our heart is infected with something, if there's bitterness there, if there's anger there, if there's if those words are coming out, it's a revealing. It's like when you have a fever, you know there's an infection in your body. Your body is fighting off an infection somewhere. When those words are coming out of your mouth, there's an infection in the heart. That is a telltale sign. It's not even so much the words. The words are that sign. It's a fever that lets you know that there's something wrong. And that's when you can surrender it to the Lord. That's when you ask for the Holy Spirit's help just to clean that out, to get rid of that infection. I went a long way around to get to that point. So yeah, something for you to consider. What are your words saying about your heart? Are your words a fever? Is there an infection there? Is there something that you need to take care of with the Lord? Something we always have to pay attention to. So you guys be blessed. Be encouraged today. He loves you. You love him. You got it going. God bless.